Hey y'all, this is Amanda and welcome back to my Texas Zone 8A garden, and today we are going to be planting out a bunch of hardy annuals that I have grown from seed. Okay, so I just came in from pouring concrete for the post for the entrance to my shade garden. I keep calling it the secret garden. Maybe that's going to be its name. And even though it's only like 65 degrees outside, I'm sweating. Those bags of concrete are 60 pounds each. They're a lot. If you haven't checked out that video, make sure you do. But today, what I'm wanting to do is I want to go ahead and start planting out some of my hardy annuals. Now, some of y'all might be asking, what's a hardy annual? What's the difference between that and a regular annual? A hardy annual is something that you can start in the fall and then it overwinters. So it does fine with some light freezes. It does fine with cold weather. And basically you get a jump start on it, planting it in the fall, allowing it to grow throughout the winter, mainly focusing on root systems during the winter. And then come early spring, you have a larger, more robust plant to get you started early spring. So you get earlier blooms and more blooms theoretically if your plant has had longer to grow roots. And so there are only some that are hardy annuals. I mainly work off the book called Cool Flowers by Lisa Mason Ziegler. Lisa Mason Ziegler, she has a YouTube channel that you can go check it out, and I'll drop that information below. You can go check it out, and she talks about cool flowers. She talks about growing cut flowers. She's mainly focused on growing cut flowers as a business, but there are a lot of tips that, you know, a regular person like myself, just kind of, you know, a homeowner who's growing in her little suburban garden, there are a lot of tips that you can take from that. So I highly suggest you go check out her YouTube channel. But let's talk about some of the hardy annuals that I've already grown from seed. Okay, the first one we're going to be working in is strawflower, and this was a mix of Swiss Giants mix. Strawflower is a really great flower. It can grow anywhere from 24 to 40 inches tall, and this particular one comes in a wide variety of colors. I like it because it really likes the heat. In the past, I think I've planted it too far apart, so I'm going to be planting it much closer together this year, which I think will be really beneficial for the plant. I've also found it to be really hardy through the hottest parts of the summer, which is always a benefit for me. It is also really well grown as a dried flower, so meaning you can cut it and dry it and preserve the flower, enjoy it for months and months and months, or you can cut it as a fresh flower as well. Couple of things I've learned about strawflower is that you need to pinch them earlier. I will be pinching these plants back some so that they can create a more robust, bushier plant instead of just one long stem. In the past, I've had some issues with mealybugs on these. Sometimes I have some issues with spider mites, but that's kind of in general in my area. All right, next on the list, we're going to start getting some Snapdragons planted out. Now, I grew 11 varieties of Snapdragons from seed. So right now, I'll go ahead and put up the pictures and the names of those 11 varieties that I grew from seed. And growing Snapdragons from seed is actually super easy. So I had a lot of success with this year. The reason this tray looks so spotty is I took half of all the Snapdragons I grew and potted them up for my friend Kristen, and they're all going to her garden. So I have maybe about 4 to 6 plants of each variety that I may plant out in the garden today. I'm also going to talk to you about some issues that my Snapdragons are currently having and why I'm pulling some of them out and replacing them with these. Now, Snapdragons can also grow anywhere from 18 to 40 plus inches tall. These bloomed profusely in the spring and into early summer. Come the hottest part of the summer, they stopped. And even if they did start to put on a bloom, I did not allow them to bloom. I would cut that bloom off. I just wanted them to focus on survival this summer. We had more than 50 days of triple-digit temps. We had a massive drought. It was a lot, and the Snapdragons outside really took a beating. So that's why I did grow so many to replace them. And so I'm really excited to get these out and into the garden. Now I do have some other varieties of hardy annuals that I am going to be planting at a later point. The beds that they're going to be planted in still have things growing in them, and I want to allow those things to finish up growing. The other ones that I am growing are Bells of Ireland, Delphinium, a couple of different varieties of Delphinium. I'm also growing Lupin. And then back here I've got a few more Lisianthus. I've got these going. These are actually doing pretty well. Lisianthus back here. And then everything else is an actual perennial. And so we'll talk about the perennials in a separate video. So let's go on outside and I'll show you where we're going to put these straw flowers and Snapdragons. Okay, so these are my raised beds at the back in the backyard, and right here in this front portion I've got some marigolds that didn't do super well for me. These I believe were spun orange. I wasn't a fan, not because I didn't like the blooms, but because of the size. I had been hoping to grow them for cut flowers and that did not work out. I have a whole bed of other marigolds that did really, really well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull these out and I'm going to very heavily plant straw flower right here. In the past I've planted straw flower about 6 to 8 inches apart, but I found that a lot of them were just flopping like crazy. And so I read from another gardener that he prefers to plant them really close together. And by doing that, it allows them to support each other as they grow taller. And I thought that sounded like a really great idea. So first thing we'll do is get some of these planted out. Now I'm also looking at one of these branches is really shading out this back garden. And we're only in the middle of the day about noon. So what this is telling me is that this area, which should be full sun, is getting like an additional 6 hours of shade a day, which I don't want for it. So one of the things I think I'm also going to do is I think I'm going to trim out one of these branches right here, just clean it up a little bit so I can guarantee that this bed over here is getting enough sun. And in turn, where I'm planting these straw flowers is also getting enough sun as we go later into the day. Okay, so I'm just working with a Sawzall. This is a Ryobi cordless Sawzall. I think it's going to work. We'll see. I might have to get a ladder. I don't want to take the whole branch off at once because it's going to crush everything below it. So I'm going to start on some of these end pieces and then work my way back into the tree. And I'm definitely going to need a ladder. Let me get that. There's some really great tools for limbing trees. But the only tree I ever have to really limb is this one. So I've never spent the time to invest in a tool like that. The Sawzall works great for multiple projects. And I think all right, y'all, let's see what we can do. I got a bunch of sawdust on me. Okay, you can see how much that opens up. It looks really nice. That makes a big difference. Now, I might spend a little time limbing up a few more things before I put this saw away. Okay, I definitely took off more than I was originally thinking, but the more I took down, the more I found a lot of dead branches. which I think is fine. I mean, we had a really rough drought, and something to consider. I'm also noticing some borer damage, so I am going to go ahead and treat that. I'm going to show y'all how I go about treating that. Okay, so this is the product I use, Tree and Shrub Insect Control, and it does cover these particular borers and beetles that really love willow trees, and I've used it in the past and it's helped out really well. And basically you have to look at the back, determine the circumference of your tree trunk. Mine is about 20 inches and the diameter is about 6 to 8 inches. So this product says I need about 25 fluid ounces for every gallon of water. This is 2 gallons, so I need about 50 fluid ounces, and I need to look at how many fluid ounces are per cup. Okay, 8 fluid ounces per cup. I'm just going to eyeball it. I need 50, so I'm going to need 8, 16, that's 32, 40, 48, 6 to 7 cups. So. And then all you do is fill this up with water, and then we pour it around the base of our tree. This should have really been done in the spring. I should be treating it in the spring and in the fall, but I forget. Okay, and then you just pour this around the base of the tree, and the roots soak it up. Let me show y'all what some of the damage looks like. So I will say, none of this damage looks super fresh. This all looks old. If it was fresh, it would look like sawdust in here. But I feel like this is like this year. So I think it's best to just go ahead and treat it. I really should be treating it no matter what, just to help out. I don't see anything super fresh like I have in the past. Because when I've treated it in the past, it definitely had literal sawdust coming out of it from where the borers were getting it. But we'll get that all treated. Good to go. Okay, so I had to take a break, go pick up all the children. This planter right here is actually broken. It needs to be thrown away. I just haven't made the trek to take it out. So basically I'm just cutting these marigolds at the base. These right here, these plants right here are green dragon cress, and I seeded that last year, and it grows profusely and reseeds itself everywhere, just so you're aware, should you ever choose to grow it. I like that it reseeded itself, but I know others will not be into that. Okay, so I am wanting to add compost to this area, so I'm going to pull back my lines real quick. It's going to raise the level in just this location, but over time, as a bunch of this ends up dying back for the winter, I will add more compost to other areas as well. This variety, let me show y'all real quick, is Living Earth, which is a local garden soil company, and you can actually get this from Lowe's. This is my new favorite compost. Alright, and then I'm just going to put a layer on top. You can mix it in if you want. I'm not going to. It will spend most of the winter with rain and dew and occasional watering, working the nutrients down into the soil. Okay, small change in plans. Since I trimmed up the willow, I have a whole bunch of those willow branches, and so as a decorative element, if you guys, one of my favorite YouTubers is Jerry with Hop Along Hollow, and she's an artist and a gardener, and she does these kind of woven natural baskets all the time. So I'm going to try some of that. Basically, I'm going to take the willow branches and I'm going to work with them around these stakes and kind of build up maybe a 6-inch kind of basket looking thing. And then I'll plant all of my straw flowers in and among that. Okay, so basically I've got like a willow branch. Now you can strip all the leaves off. That's pretty simple. Or you can just leave them on because they'll eventually just all fall off anyway. Okay, and basically I'm just going to start weaving my basket kind of like this. And basically just kind of weaving in and out and then tucking some under and just kind of like winging it, y'all. With this whole idea of a cool structure. And you definitely want to use your branches when they are newly cut, which is why I'm doing this at this moment. Like I said, I did not intend on cutting off that much, but it just kind of happened. And then you can kind of push them down as you're working. And here, I'll just start another one, just like this. You can wrap the branches if you want. You cannot wrap the branches. I mean, I don't think there's really a right or wrong, just as long as everything's secured, I think is the ultimate goal. And the idea is that all of this kind of just dries in place. Okay, I kind of dig it. I'm not sure if it was the best installation for this exact location right here, but it's still fun, and I'm kind of excited that I might come out here and try this a few more places tomorrow. What I'm doing now is just trimming back a little bit of this gomphrena right here, just to make room for a few of the seedlings. So I'm going to plant inside the circle, and then I'm going to plant outside the circle as well. I'm not going to be adding any additional fertilizer since I do have compost here. Okay, so these are my Vigo seed starters. Just give me an idea. These look pretty amazing. And since the soil is so soft, you just go ahead and pull several out. And I'm planting these about 4 inches apart, 4 to 5 inches apart. So much tighter than what I've done in the past with them. But I told you guys that I'm really hoping that they'll learn to kind of like support each other. And then hopefully this ring will actually support some of them as well. So I'm going to plant them like right up to the side of the ring, so that should at any point in time in the future I need to prop them up, having the ring there will be helpful. Okay, I'm kind of obsessed with it. I know it probably looks like a hot mess, y'all. But look how happy my little seedlings are tucked. How sweet they are tucked on the inside. And then I've got them going all the way around the edge of this handmade structure. Even over here. I love it. I'm probably going to come make some more of these structures tomorrow. I don't want to do it before too much of the willow branches dries out. You definitely want to do them when they're easy to maneuver. Okay, let's go on over to the Snapdragons. Okay, over here is my Snapdragon bed, and I do have some starting to bloom, but I want to show you all this damage I've got from spider mites and also some type of caterpillar situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut all these down to the base, and I'm going to leave the roots in, and maybe these plants will come back. In the meantime, I'm also going to pull out some of the celosia, and this is where we're going to go ahead and plant up all of our new Snapdragon seedlings. I'm definitely going to add compost to all of this as well. Okay, that's a lot of Snapdragons. So I've got all my tags, and I'm just going to tuck them over to the side, away from the sun. so that they don't get sun bleached, but I can pull them up and refer to them at any point in time. So let's water these in. Okay, and when I'm watering in new seedlings, I like to get the water down really close to the base of the plant. I don't like to come from too far overhead, just because it can like knock the seedlings over, and I want them to remain upright right now. And I will need to be on top of it, making sure that these are well watered in and don't dry out too much. But I got a lot of them in here, so theoretically, several of them she'll take. Will all of them take? Probably not. I would be super lucky if they did. I don't know. I had a really good year last year. Okay, let's take a minute to survey the messiness. Worked over here. We worked on the willow. So much more light coming through. Pile of willow limbs strewn out. Pile of celosia and snapdragons I cut back. We got this area all put in. And then later on this season, probably in a couple of weeks, I'll be planting out more Lisianthus. So I'll be adding more compost this side. Wanted to give an opportunity for, these are volunteer amaranthus. This is where all of my ranunculus are going to be going that I just started. But I want to get these sunflowers bloomed. This will be my last batch for the fall. They're looking really good. And I left this one branching sunflower just because it looks like a giant umbrella and I really liked it. So I left it. But yeah, looking good. I accomplished a ton today. All right. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. It turned into a lot more than I originally thought it was going to be. Obviously, I was just going to plant the strawflower and the snapdragons. But now that I'm this far, once I started cutting the willow, then I was like, hey, let me do a project, and it just kind of blew up. So I think one of the things I'm going to do tomorrow is come out and build some more of those like rounded bed kind of situations, or maybe bend some of the willow branches into some trellis kind of situation is what I'm kind of thinking about. Maybe in this particular area back here, I think that'll be fun. Kind of mess around with that. But I hope y'all enjoyed today's video. As always, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you know my latest videos are up. And be sure to check me out on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. As always, she's Mad Gardener or Decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.